Hey guys, welcome back to Sharon's Nail Boutique. I'm your host Sharon, and in this set it's really cool. I love how they came out. This was a fresh full set. Here's the set that I did. If you're new here and have not yet subscribed, please hit that subscription bell, with the bell, and you'll be reminded every time I upload. And to all my oldies but goodies, welcome back here on Sharon's Nail Boutique. Thank you for all of your support, and to all my new subbies, thank you so much for showing up and showing me your love and support, guys. So here I'm just showing you a close-up of how I go in and push all 10 cuticle eponychiums back, and then I go in with my diamond ball bit and remove all that extra skin. Now I've slowed it down to real time. This is how I really work, guys. A little slow, but in the end we get there. This is how I would prep the natural nail so that when I come in with the tips, they sit nicely and they sit correctly. So up in those corners, when you're shaping the free edge, you want to get up in those corners of the side walls and just make sure that they are rounded up at the highest point near the edges there. And then you come in with that nice swoop of a circle, like a half moon shape at the free edge. Now you see me using my 150 grit side to etch that nail plate to remove the shine properly. You never want to go in with a sanding band. That's a no-no. This is how you remove the shine without hurting your client, without fracturing that nail plate, and without giving them that big indentation every time they come in for their refills. If you do your clients' nails like this, I promise you, they will not have that deep ridge and they will not have thinned out nails. They won't have any issues as long as you prep properly. So after I'm done etching the nail plate, I will then go in with my cuticle eponychium nippers, and I will get just that ledge of skin that you see there that's kind of lighter than the back skin. That's dead skin, so you can clip that off safely. If you're not trained in using nippers, I suggest leaving the skin there and only getting off what you can with your cuticle ball bit. So now I'm going in with these tips from N4, and guys, I will leave the link in the description box below. I got these from Amazon, and they are amazing tips. The only downside a little bit is that they're a little on the thick side, but there's ways around that, and filing and cutting and trimming down. So I'm just sizing these now. She wanted them long, but not obviously the length of the tip. So we're just making sure, going through all of them and making sure they're all the same size. So then I will cut off the edges, or some of the edges, with my scissors. I got these scissors from Joann Fabrics, I want to say. Really good sewing scissors. So we're literally just clipping off like that corner edge. We're not taking too much of it off. And then we're going to go in with our 100 grit side on our hand file and shape those edges into like that tapered square coffin look. So in order to get that, achieve that look, you don't want to take off too much. You're not going to go in at a complete 45-degree angle. It's going to be a little, not 90-degree, but like in between 45 and 90-degree angle. Then I turn her hand around to make sure that they look straight and proper with her view. So it's really important to remember that not only are they straight from your view, but from hers as well. The only time I use this sanding band, as you can see, is to blend that artificial tip where it's on the nail bed. I'm thinning that part out because these tips are a little on the thick side. So you want to make sure that the nail bed tip area where you glued it down is as thin as possible. I go in at a very slow speed with my sanding band, and that's just to thin out that fake tip, not the natural nail, because we already etched our nails. So as you can see there, I was talking through it, but I was just prepping with my Band-Aid, going in with one coat, and then I do 2 coats of my acid base primer, which is the No Lift Nails acid base primer. And I go in with 2 coats of that, one on all 10, and then one right before my clear thin base. So this is the clear thin base. Now I slowed it down to real time because I wanted you guys to see literally how I pick up my bead with just a small wet bead, right? I'll show you on this next finger. So I go in, I pick up my small wet bead, right? I place it as close up there as I can. I'm going to push it up. Well, I don't place it close. I place it underneath and then I push up. So that way you get your thinnest part up at that cuticle area, and then a majority of your thin base is going to be right at that strength point area where the tip actually gets glued onto the free edge. So as you can see too, like the layer of acrylic is the same thickness all the way through everywhere except those side wall areas. There it should be thinner. So I'm going into two colors now, Sassy and Teal on Blue, and that's from Glam & Glitz Color Blend 3 collection. And then I just dipped into my Chisel blue, and then I went into Glam & Glitz Blew Me Away, and I'm just swirling them around similar to what I did in my flame nails. I pick up two colors. This one is Mia Secret's Frosted Pink and Sassy mixed together. So I was just really going for like that marble look, guys. I wasn't like going for anything in particular. Just I really wanted like those blues and pinks to kind of swirl and make like a purpley look. And then I went in, this is my Frosted Pink from Mia Secret, and I put that up at that top just to give it like that clear type of kind of foggy look that we see a lot with marbles. And then I'm using my Fantasy Iridescent Multi-Mix Stackers, and I'm using the blue, the teal, the pink, the purple, and another like baby blue-ish color. You see that purple? So pretty. And basically what I'm doing with the glitter is I'm kind of like going in at weird like line-ish looking angles and kind of trying to get that glitter to look similar to like veins through the marble. And then I'm taking shredded gold leaf that I shredded up myself with my scissors and stuff, just kind of picking it apart. And there's no, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to these. It's just I'm picking up pieces and sticking them where I think they look good, and when I'm happy with the way it looks, I'll come in and I'll cap it. And as you can see, I grabbed a pretty big bead, not too wet, not too dry, but as you can see, I go in at those sides. I'm cleaning my brush and making sure I'm wetting it, so that's going to help you pull down your polymerized bead. And as you can see, I go from the sides mainly and then through the center, because the majority of your bulk of acrylic should be coming through the center of that nail. If you look at the sides there, that side view, you see how thin it is at those side walls. That's because when I'm at the sidewall area, I have my brush at a 90-degree angle, just stroking it at a 90-degree angle. And then when I come to the middle center top part, I'm using it at a 45 or flat. So you can really just tell by watching what I'm doing. You know, some of the parts are a little sped up, but you see how I clean in between the sidewalls too with the toe of my brush? That's super important. I add a little more here up at that cuticle area, making sure it's flush, making sure I'm using my brush properly. Now, some of these nails came out a little thicker than I would have liked them to, but when I came in at the end and I filed, I was able to fix all that. But some nails are gonna look that way because when you have, like, see all the stuff I have encapsulated, so sometimes your nail is gonna come out thicker looking, but that's what your file is for, and you can fix that in the end, so do not worry. So same with the thumbs. We're going in with a random marble, and we're using whatever colors we feel like at the time. And I know I'm saying we, but I'm basically talking about us. Not just myself, because I feel like I'm kind of like teaching a class here. So I know I'm not kind of like whatever. I'm not like certified to do it, but you know, I mean, it doesn't really take a lot to learn how to do nails. I'm completely like self-taught, and I know that sounds funny because technically everyone's self-taught because they have to do the work, but what I mean is that I didn't go to school for doing nails. I learned how to do nails from watching people like me on YouTube. And yeah, so now I'm going in with the glitter and I'm doing those random kind of lines like they would be in a marble. See how I'm kind of like fixing it and doing different angles. So I was just kind of like thinking like, that would be kind of cool. Like instead of using like the black like I did in the flame nails to do like that vein of marble, I'm doing it with the glitter instead. So I pick up some of that teal and then mix it with some of that purple, and I leave some spots like clear and see-through because I like the whole like marbly glass tip effect. It's so pretty to me. And so that's basically what I was going for. At first I was actually gonna recreate another set by Lucy, and when it comes to the colors, technically I did, but this design is completely my own. This is a completely freestyled set. I was gonna do a set like Lucy's, but when I ended up showing it to my client, she liked the colors but did not specifically want that design. And I think it's a lot because she was younger girl, and that just seemed a little too, even though it was really 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 nice, it was just too kind of laid back for her, and she wanted something a little more kind of oomph, I guess you could call it, just more kind of in your face, cool, designy. So this is what I came up with, and I think we did a good job. We have color blocking in here, we have gold leaf, we have marble, we have ombre. So a lot of cool stuff going on in these nails. So when I'm happy with how this looks, I will go in and encapsulate. And you see how I'm going down those sides? Now I'm trying to really hard to get that bead down because it was drying up on me a little too quickly. And the thing that sucks with that is that you need your bead to be semi kind of dried out, but you also want it to be wet enough to mold. So see how I made sure that up at that cuticle area my bead was pressed out and flush before I started pulling like the body of it down. That's really really important, guys. So now we're working on the cuticle area of the cutout design, and I'm just making sure, see how I push it up and I make sure it's rounded up there. I don't play with it too much. Once it's in the shape it needs to be and it's pushed up enough, I don't overplay with it. And I do end up going in with a little more pink because on that sidewall area I missed a spot. So you have to make sure that the whole thing is filled in, because if you miss a spot it will show up at the end. So that's all I'm doing here, is I'm going in with a little bit more just to build that area up a little bit and to add it where I needed it over in that sidewall area. And I will leave this to dry too, because when I come back in I have to file it straight and then get those little bits off the nail, because that middle part is going to be our Louis Vuitton design. So now we're doing our 4-color ombre, and I'm going in with my chisel royal blue. And this is just called, like, it's called solid, and then there's a number, so there's no name to it. But chisel products are good for acrylic use and dip. They're actually dip powders and acrylic. So I'm going in with the royal blue first, then I come in with Blew Me Away, then teal on blue, and then I use the pink color Sassy up at that top area. And I end up doing my shards, the iridescent really pretty shards over the center colors, and like blend it up and blend it down, and then I encapsulate. So now this is Blew Me Away. Just pushing that up. You see how I don't play with the top part? I leave it like in that rounded. When I place it down, I push it out, it stays in that shape. I don't, the only part that I play with are the sides and through the center. Now look at, excuse me, look at that blend, how gorgeous that blend came out. So now I'm going to use teal on blue, pushing it up, pushing it side to side, making sure it's nice and neat and even, and then I'll pull it down over Blew Me Away. You see that? So pretty. So I end up going in with like a little bit more on that side because it was missing some color there. I think I add a little more Blew Me Away too. And a little more of the teal on blue because it was just too like see-through right there. I just didn't have enough product right there, I don't think. So that's the tricky part when you use a product, like if it's too wet, it'll you'll end up pulling more color off that spot than you want to. You see what I mean? Like, when it's dry and it's polymerized enough, it's gonna sit and stay where you put it. I know in the beginning when I first started doing nails, I didn't really know the difference and why that was happening. So as time goes on and you pick up all these tips and tricks, it really helps, you know what I mean? And it helps to watch the whole video sometimes of people's stuff, because you never know what they're going to talk about, what they're going to be teaching. So it's, you know, sometimes the videos are long, and this one in particular is a little on the long side, but it's because I left in a lot of different things that you have to do with nails to do them correctly. So I like to try to share all those tips and tricks with you guys. So with this pink, it was giving me a little bit of a difficult time. That's why on the opposite hand, I ended up using pink at the free edge instead of the top. But sometimes like neon colors will give you a hard time just because of how pigmented they are. They tend to dry a little faster. So then I go in with a little more teal on blue because that color kind of completely like disappeared. And then I'll go back in with some Blew Me Away because that side area right there is a little see-through. But I think I end up coming in at the end and like filing that more like into shape, because I think that's what the real issue was. See, so I come in, that's why the blend doesn't really matter on these particular nails, because when you use glitter, and that's what's so awesome about glitter, it hides imperfection. So if you make a mistake, have no fear, throw some glitter at that bitch and you will be all set. Okay, when I'm happy with that, I'm gonna cap it. So I'll come up like 3/4 of the way up, a little less than that, and I'll place it, and you see how I'm like pulling the sides and I'm making sure that the top of the bead is like as flat as possible. So you don't need a huge amount of product in one area. As long as your glitter is capped, you can start pulling it down, and you want to make sure that it's nice and kind of thin at that area, because then you have to come in with your cuticle bead, and you want to make sure with this bead that your strength point and up at that area is where your thickest part is, because that's where you're going to get the breakage. That's where your nails are going to snap. If you don't have enough product at your strength point, and your strength point is like the top third of the nail where the natural nail meets the free edge, like underneath, that's where your strength point area is. So now I'm coming back in on that color blocking nail and making sure that that bottom part is straight as possible, because then I come in with those shards and the Louis Vuitton metal decals, and we do 5 of those on that center part. You see, I'm pushing it all the way up to that wall there and making sure that the bits kind of go up to the top of that pink ledge there. That's so that when you come in and cap it, you don't have like that big gap between the color and the glitter. You know how sometimes like when you do color blocking, if you don't fill the color, like even if you don't fill it the same thickness all the way through, you should still make sure that that wall area, that the color comes up to the top of that wall almost. That way when you cap it, you're not going to see like that big gap in between the clear and the color. That's the trick, and I can show you in another video exactly what I mean. So I'll do that another day. But now I come into cap, I make sure that I drain the liquid out of the back of my bead, because I don't need a lot of this clear all over the nail. I only need it in that one particular area. And you see how it's like a perfect amount. With time, over time, you will get your ratios down packed. So on the pinky, I'm going in with a full nail of Blew Me Away and making sure that that cuticle area is nice and flush and tapered and the way it's supposed to be shaped. And you see that I managed to do it in a 1 bead method. I will come back in and put a little more, I think, up at that top cuticle area, just to give it a little more color up there. Now in hindsight, I probably didn't need to do that, but I still wanted to, just to get more color up there and to build it up a little bit. Because when I cap like these plain nails without any like glitter or anything, I like to build my color up most of the way and then go in with a thin layer of clear. And then I go in with a Louis Vuitton decal at that free edge area, and I will encapsulate. And I love encapsulating these decals because they won't go anywhere. You won't have to worry about the top coat chipping and losing your decal. So it's good. So I think I come in, yep, one bead method again. Look at how I placed that top part with my brush. I let it sit for a second, and because it's warm in my nail room, it's already like polymerizing before I even get to it. Basically, it doesn't take long at all. So this is what I mean with the color going all the way up to the top of that clear wall there with the Louis Vuitton decals. Watch how I do it. So I'm waiting for it to polymerize a little bit, pulling down the sides. See how I'm getting that color all the way to the top of that clear part? That's on purpose. I'm not letting it go over the line because we're not going to come back and file and then reveal the straight lines. We're not doing that. We're filling the color up, not all the way, but up to the top of that line. That way when we come in and cap, there's not going to be like any, you know, like, it's so hard to explain, but you won't be able to see like a gap in between that clear space and the color. You see what I'm saying? Now it looks like we filled in the whole thing with color instead of some color and encapsulation. That's the difference. Anybody that does color blocking, I think, should know what I'm talking about when I say that. But I see it a lot, even when people like encapsulate gel polish. They make sure that they do like that smile line design with the multiple smile lines. They color that in even up the side of the wall area so that you don't see that huge gap. So you see how I'm doing that strength point and cuticle area? I made sure that that was all neat and tapered and everything like that before I started pulling down the rest of my product. Super important, guys. Very, very important. So we move on to the next hand now, and we are going in with our marble. And we start off with that royal blue from Chisel and sassy from Glam and Glitz color blend. Now we're going to go in with Blew Me Away and teal on blue up at that cuticle section. Just kind of swirl those through each other. Nothing like a good old marble. And I'm not doing like color all over the place. This is sassy with frosted pink. Just adding a little more up at that cuticle. But I left a lot of clear sections in this marble, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to add a little more glitter on this one, and I wanted there to be more glass tip. So now I'm using that glitter again, kind of like a vein in marble, and just making sure to flatten that out as thin as possible. Super important with thicker glitters and bulkier glitters. Even though this one isn't really too bulky, it's really, really important to make sure that you're flattening and making them as thin as possible on the nail. That way when you come in and encapsulate, you don't need too much and it's not going to be too thick. Now with longer nails, obviously you need more thickness because it's more length. With short nails, you don't need like that big stress point area. You don't need that because there's nothing there hanging off the edge that would require that type of strength. The reason why with longer nails you need that is because the longer it gets, the more weight it puts on your nail bed itself. So when you build up the thickness, it protects your nail because it needs that for the strength. So after I'm happy with the glitter veins and where I put them, I'm going in with my gold leaf now. Just random spots, random pieces, random sizes, and I love using like the bigger gold leaf bits on longer nails. They just look so pretty. The next set I want to do on myself, I think I'm going to be using those butterfly wing decals that I showed you guys that I got. So I'll probably be doing those on myself. I might, well, not might, I'm definitely going to shorten my nails by probably like half because I found it really, really difficult to work with these in this length. But I needed to show you guys the recreation set. So it was so worth it in my mind. And it's been tough kind of getting adjusted to them, but you know what? I'll need to, because eventually I'll be doing my nails all the time again like I used to, and I'm gonna have to get used to long nails, especially when I do other people's. So I'm going in with the 3 bead on this nail just to make sure that I'm capping everything properly. Going down those sidewall areas, making sure my brush is clean and saturated enough to where I could pull it gently. Any little bits, any little extra bits off that free edge, I'll just kind of reverse my brush and kind of pat it back into shape. And then I move on to the thumb now, doing another marble. And I start off with Sassy and that royal blue, then I go in with Blew Me Away and Teal on Blue at that cuticle thumb area. And I kind of pull them together a little bit. And I go in with Sassy and Teal on Blue. And I think I'm going to go in with Teal on Blue and Blew Me Away. Ooh, that came out nice. Now I'm coming in with some glitter, and because it's still wet, I'm just putting my wet brush into the glitter and dotting it around. And because I was out of frame, I did the gold leaf out of shot, so I had to kind of cut that off for you guys. But once I'm happy, obviously I will come in and cap, making sure to clean and wet my brush in between. Now if you get bits that come down and it doesn't cover the whole nail, you see what I'm doing, how I'm like patting and moving it to the side so I can do it. That's easy to do once you get the swing of things. Like, you don't have to dip back into your powder. You can maneuver your way around it, trust me. So just cleaning those sidewalls. Now I'll come in with the cuticle bead. Push up all the way around and pull down. Yeah. And obviously there's some dips in certain places, so I end up adding some more there. Turning my brush around, blending it back, then pulling it down to that free edge area. Now that's why, see how it was like sticky and it was pulling? That's why you gotta always make sure that your brush is clean and damp, because it'll do stuff like that. So now I'm doing my cutout on this hand, and I'm using that chisel royal blue, making sure to clean my brush because it was getting sticky and dry. So I pull that down enough so I can measure it to that next hand. First I gotta add a little more because there wasn't enough. So I'll measure it to that other hand just to make sure that I do the cutout the same length. Please excuse that pink that was on there. I just had to add a little more in that section because it wasn't the same thickness. That's another thing. You want to make sure that your cutouts, that the wall that you build up for the next color to go up to, that it's built up all the same length. On the pinky, I'm going in with Teal on Blue. So I did it a different color on this one. And I do a 2 bead method here just because the bead I had, it was starting to dry a little bit. So I placed it under the cuticle. That way I didn't have to worry about it over drying on me at that cuticle area, not being able to pull it down. So then I'll come in with my cuticle bead and pull that down over that first one. And this one too will have that metal Louis Vuitton decal. Clean up my side areas, wet my brush, and then start pulling down those side walls and through the center. You see that? Awesome. And I'll place my metal Louis Vuitton decal. Let me fix that side there first. Now, I bought these decals $800 in a pack. I think I paid like $2 something with, or 3 something with 51-cent shipping or 83-cent shipping, something like that. But I'll leave the links for you guys in the box below. I've also left those links in my last previous videos. I'm going in with a 1 ball method here to cap. And like I said, as you can see, I'm doing those side walls. Most importantly, guys, that's the most important part. You want to make sure that they're not big and blocky on the sides, because that totally will misshape your nails, which you have to go in and reshape them anyways, because when you do acrylic, they always get back out of shape and you have to come in and fix them. That's fine. That's totally normal. But what you don't want is for your nails, your coffin nails, to look like duct tip, flare tip nails. Like, I don't know why anyone ever thought those were cute, but no. So back to our color blocking cutout nail. I'm going to make sure that that edge is completely straight before we come in with our other color. Now you see how I come in with it's not too wet. It's like just wet enough and dry enough to where I can mold it properly. And you see how I'm measuring, because sometimes when I do this, I don't always get it the same as the other hand. I've made that mistake before, and you realize afterwards, and obviously it's too late by then. So you place your decals. I'm using 5, almost like the 5 dice, how it looks with the one in the center. That's what I'm doing, and then I'll come in and I'll cap it. And you want to drain the liquid out of the back of your bead so you can make sure you can mold it properly. Now when you're working with a small space like this, it's easy to do that because you don't have to worry about it running all over the place. You don't have to worry about getting it all over the nail. You only need to do that one square area, so it's much easier to do. You still want to be making sure your side walls are nice and thin and tapered. I'm just removing a little bit because it was a little longer than the other one. So when that's dry too, I will come back in and make sure it's straight. And then we will go to our last nail, which is another 4-tone ombre. And like I told you from the other hand, I start off this one with Sassy instead of the blue. That's because I didn't like how it molded at the cuticle area. So making sure that I'm doing that as thin as possible, guys, because this is our design. It's not our strength. I think you can use these Glam and Glitz, you can use as strength, which I do sometimes, but because we're capping, you don't need to. So pushing that up, not overplaying with that top rounded part. You see what I mean? See how it's just in that natural round shape when you place it down? Leave it like that. Do not overplay with it. And then I'll come in with my royal blue from Chisel. You see that? I push it out from side to side, and then I'll start pulling down. I think I actually only did a 3-color ombre on this one, actually. I think I completely forgot that it was supposed to be a 4-tone ombre. Holy shit, I just realized that. Still look good, though. Still looked really, really good. You see how pretty that looks? Oh my goodness, I love it. And then I come in with Blew Me Away. You see how I push it up and out, and it's got like that natural rounded shape at the top? That's what I mean. Like, do not overplay with that top part. That's where you're going to come in and file with that tapered bit around that cuticle area. And you shouldn't over file either, because I used to do that in the beginning when I first started doing nails, where I would like over file the top cuticle part, and it would totally ruin the shape of my nail and make it look like there was more product at the free edge than up at the cuticle, when in fact you should have more product up at that top, not the cuticle area, but that strength point area, and then the rest of your nail be thinner. So yeah, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, but the best part about making mistakes is that you learn from them. It teaches you how to get better at doing nails. Trust me. For somebody that made a lot of mistakes and still does, I can guarantee you will learn good tips and tricks from the mistakes you make. Just look at how pretty this one looked. I wish I would have done the same way on the other hand, but that's what I'm saying. You make mistakes, you live, and you learn. So next time, obviously, I will remember that, and I will start my ombre with the pink. Now you see how I come in at the sides and I push, like, kind of pull those in on the sides and make it thin where I placed it as I'm going in on a downward angle with my brush. I'm doing that with just a little bit of force, guys. I think I'm gonna make a video where I show like the side angle view. That way you can see exactly how my brush is like held at the nail. So I'm coming in all around that area, making sure that it's nice and flush and pulled in on those sides. And then I will move on. So you see how I'm placing the pink and I like have it up to that line, almost to the top of that wall there. Not going over, because we're not doing that. Just painted up to the top of that line, so it almost gives the appearance that you built it all the way up, but you really didn't. You only did that so that when you come in and cap with the clear, it doesn't look like you capped at all. It just looks like it's all pink. See what I mean? Don't want to get any over the edge. You just want to make sure that the color comes up to almost the top of that. So I'll drain my bead, making sure that it stays where I need it to. There's no bubbles. And now let me tell you something, guys. I've been using Mia Secret clear since I started doing nails. I started with the cheap Asian kits just like everyone else did and does. No bueno. Do not waste your money on that stuff. Mia Secret is amazing. Now, I know there's better quality stuff out there than Mia Secret. There's quite a few of them. But for beginners and price point wise, Mia Secret is probably by far the best product you can get when it comes to affordability and workability. Because Mia Secret's product stays wet long enough for beginners to use it. That's what's so special about Mia Secret. It's good enough for people that have been doing nails for years and years and years. And it's good enough for people that have been doing nails for 2 weeks. So this is what they look like before filing, guys. I just wanted to give you a quick glimpse of that. And now I'm going to go in with my 100-150 grit hand file by Sunshine. I will also leave those links in the description box below. And then I'll also be using my non-safety gold carbide bit in the fine grit, and I'll be using this one right there, and I'll also be using my Volcano safety bit in the fine grit after I use this. I found it a little difficult to do with my long ass nails on, so bear with me, guys. So yeah, I'll go in next after this one with that Volcano bit, and that's a safety one, so I could get up nice and close to that cuticle without hurting my client, because I actually cut myself, I think, with this bit the other day, not even realizing it until the next day when I was washing my hands and it started burning. But yeah, when I'm happy with this, I will go in with the Volcano bit. And then I have a little tip for you in the end. Remember how I was telling you guys, this is the Volcano bit, by the way, and I'll leave the links for these in the description box as well. I get my bits from AliExpress from a store called Wilson, and these bits are amazing, guys, and super affordable. A lot of them you could get 2 in a pack. So yeah, like I said, if you guys are new here and you have not yet subscribed, please do so by hitting that subscription and hitting that bell so you could be reminded every time I upload a new video, guys. And thank you from the bottom of my heart to all my new subscribers. We're working our way towards 1,000, and we're gonna be getting this giveaway off the ground. It's gonna be amazing for everybody involved. Here's that little tip: when you spray your nails with the alcohol, right, and they start to dry, watch, I'll show you in a second. See how it's like all foggy and stuff? Now, if you were to paint right over that with your top coat, it would show up. So what you do is you take your Band-Aid or your dehydrator and you go over it really quick with a coat. That way you don't have to worry about all that nasty fogginess on the nail. You can really see it. Hold on. See that? See all that white fogginess? See how I'm going with my Band-Aid, and it's clearing that right up? Then you go right in with your top coat, okay? Because it dries quick anyways. So that's what that's the tip and trick for the day. I hope it helps you. I know it helps me perfectly. So yeah, just if you'd like to share this video, definitely that would help me out some. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. I love you all so much.